Hey everyone, welcome to the AllBrands show. I'm Barbara from AllBrands.com, and with me today is Emily Thompson from Life Sew Savory.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
I am so in love with all of your tutorials and education that you give. Let's show everybody what we're going to be talking about today.
Okay, I have a fun summer sundress pattern and project for us today. So last week I shared a new PDF pattern to make a racerback style tank top for kids. And that is available as a free download. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. But I've sort of started this project, but we're going to finish it today and add a little bit of fun embellishment with the scan and cut as well. So I've mostly 3/4 sewn up the tank top. All right, we need to close the shoulder and add one more binding, but I want to show you how I do that. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to add this fun skirt to it. And I'm piecing things a little bit because I was using up scraps of fabric from last year's July 4th fabric. But we're going to add this cute skirt to it and put it all together. And then I'm going to use the Art Spirit app. There's a fun little heart flag, and I'll show you that in a minute. And we're going to put that on the front of this little tank top to sort of bring it all together. So I do need, before we just get started here, I need your opinions if you have about vinyl. So I was trying to match vinyl to what I had. And of course I didn't pull things out until just before I was getting ready, like an hour ago. So the red is totally fine to go with the little bits of red on here. But the blue that I have is, I don't know, not great. I have, should we call it like a royal blue and more of a navy blue. But then I was wondering, do I do like a black? It's just the little corner of the heart where the stars are, or even a gray on the tank top. So if you have an opinion, let me know. Otherwise, of course, I'll just make a final decision, or I'll cut a couple when we get to that point. But that is a little bit plaguing me as we get started here.
I'm so excited. So today we're going to show the scan and cut and the sergers and the cover hem stitch. So stay tuned after the short video, and we'll be back to be creative and have fun together.
Yay!
Yay! See you soon. With Emily Thompson.
I was just quickly trying to scroll through and see what people had said about the colors. And I probably didn't explain myself great because everyone's saying red, which I need the red, but I also need one other color. So there were a couple votes for the silver or gray in there, which I think is what I'm sort of leaning to, because then it's just not going to clash with the blues, even though it is a tiny scrap of fabric. But or a vinyl, but we'll check it out. And if I hate it, we can always recut it in a different color. It's not a big deal to do that. So
very cool. And hey, before you get started, I wanted to remind everyone that we do a giveaway on every AllBrands show. So all you have to do is comment #AllBrands, and you'll be eligible to win a $25 AllBrands.com e-gift card at the end of this broadcast. So good luck there.
Yay.
And we're live. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat, and I'll be sure to ask Emily as we go along. And before we get started, Emily, where can they follow you to get more tutorials, information, content?
Yes. Okay. So my website is lifesewsavory.com, and the sew is spelled S-E-W, which I think Barbara already put that in sort of the promo about this video. But my hashtags on all social media, Pinterest, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. I don't have too many fringe socials, but on the main ones, Twitter, you can find me at just Life Sew Savory. And and I share usually what I'm up to. And then if you hop over to my site and you're not on social, you can subscribe to my newsletter. That's a great way to stay in touch. I usually share a once a week sort of roundup of projects, and then a couple times a month, I will just send like a themed newsletter about what are some fun things to sew for upcoming seasons and holidays that might be coming up. So I don't bombard you daily with anything if you sign up, but maybe once a week you'll have a newsletter or something from me in your inbox, and you can stay up to date with everything that's going on. So that's another option if that's a great way to follow.
Wonderful. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right. I see someone say you got me a sewing machine for my daughter. Yes, I definitely. I hope I can inspire people to start sewing. That's always what I want. Start simple, start somewhere, and then just go from there. So I'm going to I think we're going to start by cutting the vinyl and press that on the tank top before we move over to the sewing portion. I think that just makes more sense with the flow of things. So I'm actually going to just pop off, Barbara, if you would just take me out for a second. I just need to move a camera over so I can get a close-up of the scan and cut, and then we will get started.
Sounds good. So I was going to just put this in the comment section. LifeSewSavory.com is where you can follow Emily. And she's so inspiring because she uses so many different products. She uses the scan and cut, she uses the sewing machine, she uses the serger. So there's something for everyone. You'll be sure to learn something by following her videos and content. And yes, someone said, I love Emily, Anne, earlier. I agree. And I'm really excited to see. And I love that you do a lot of projects like with for women and children's clothing, and with the scan and cut and surgery tutorials, but there's also free PDFs on your website with instruction. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It looks like you're ready. So
yeah, I'm ready. Okay. All right. So here I have the scan and cut. I just wanted you to be able to see as we're cutting, and then we'll go more to the whole table again. But sometimes it's nice to really see what someone is doing and get a feel for that. So if you haven't used the ArtSphere app, that's what I'm going to show you here first. And actually I was playing around with the design, so I had that pulled up. But this is what the homepage looks like when you sign in, and you can use an Apple ID or your Brother, I think sign in from maybe if you have a Canvas workspace. There's lots of ways to sign in. You can figure that out. And then there are free designs for both cutting and for embroidery every month. So it's been really fun for me to open this and then like have new surprises, like, oh, they uploaded new designs, and I can go ahead and check out and be just inspired. They also have projects, and that's really, really fun to see. So a couple weeks ago, I was looking through and I saw they had some 4th of July things. This one is red, white, and blue, but that's cute, but not necessarily appropriate for my daughter's tank top. And this one I think is cute. It says, "Oh my stars, happy 4th of July." But this little heart here with the stars in the corner and the stripes, I just thought was so cute, and actually will go really well with that star fabric that I'm going to use. So to use the design, you just go ahead and select it. Now I have already paired this app with my compatible machines. So any Brother machine that you have that is Wi-Fi enabled, the scan and cuts, and then certain models, all the new sewing machines, but certain models of the sewing machines and embroidery machines are able to pair with this. So I have a sewing machine paired. I have this scan and cut paired. So then it's really easy to make the transfer. So I'm going to hit create. It is going to show me right here where I need to place. You probably can't see it. It's like too washed out. Get it on another screen. I'll just describe. So it shows my cutting mat. Up here, it shows where I need to place the blue, where I need to place the red, and then where I need to place the white, but I'm not going to do a white heart because I don't need the background. I'm using this on a white shirt. Okay. And then here it says cutting machine 325. I could change that machine if I wanted. I must have an old one paired on here as well, but we're going to go ahead and hit transfer. And now it says the transfer is complete. Okay. So now I can put this away and we're going to check it out on here. And from the home screen, you're going to hit retrieve data. And then you're going to hit this little cloud in the pocket picture that's on that screen. And then from there, I see again, and it's really hard and the lighting is bad. I was talking about before we started, there's like a huge storm outside my window right now. So I have all the lights on and I'm trying to get some light in here, but we've washed out this screen. So again, I have the 3 pieces. Now what I'm going to do is delete the cut of the white heart because I don't need that white heart for the white fabric. So I select it, I hit edit, and then I just hit the little trash can. And yes, I want to delete it. All right, so now I see where I need to put the blue and where I need to put the red. So I am going to just swing this right here. Don't be dizzy. And we're going to put those 2 color vinyls right on my cutting mat to be able to cut. So I'm going to grab some scissors here. And also on the design, it tells you exactly how big it is, which I love. It just makes it really easy to be able to see. I'm trying to make sure I cut it big enough. The blue or the red or actually my gray is the smaller area because I'm doing that for the blue. The red is a little bit bigger. So on heat transfer vinyl, you have a more opaque side and then you have a shiny side. The shiny side is covered with a layer that we're going to peel off after we iron it on. It's the protective layer. And so that's what you stick down on to your mat. Okay. So we'll stick down that protective layer and then that is going to do that. And then I'm going to grab the red here and that scrap is not big enough. So I'll cut a little bigger piece. And I'm just going to cut, I don't like to have little scraps, although unfortunately my bin is full of scraps of vinyl. I'm going to try to just cut this, probably cut it a little too long. And I'll just stick this all the way on here. We'll cut out the heart and then I'll just have that extra piece, which of course will go in my scrap, but it wouldn't do me any good left on the roll here either. Okay.
I have
so
2
now
Emily, for you. Do you have a certain way that you organize your vinyl at your house so that you know how to find certain colors?
Well, I'll show you real quick, only because it's accessible and it's fairly organized right now. But this is my vinyl bin. And I try to keep it all rolled up, even like the scrap pieces like this one. I'll roll and then just tuck in. But like down in here, if I look, this is why I don't like the short bits because they fall down. So this side is sticky vinyl and this side is heat transfer vinyl. Yeah. And then I also have, like transfer tape and the high tack mats for cutting fabric. So all of my sort of scan and cut rolls are in this bin. And I have a cabinet that has a bunch of these bins with fabric and craft supplies. And then I made these labels for them.
Very cute.
I bought the baskets and added the labels. So this is I don't know if it's great, but this is what I'm currently using for.
Courtney showed me something recently that I thought was really, really cool. She has one of those like accordion folders.
Yes.
And her little tiny bits. She has
my goodness.
Of each color and she can open it up and find a green and a blue. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to get one of those.
Yeah. I will say I save pieces, but I don't save everything. Both with fabric and with vinyl. I know some people save like every scrap of fabric, and I sort of like cut with my rotary cutter, and then I just am constantly tossing things. We don't have a huge house. I don't have a big studio. It maybe would be different if I had more space, but I have to balance
Yeah.
space and storage and all those things. But I'm so impressed with people who do have those intricate little like storage and all those things that they're doing.
Yeah, Clovis says she uses a basket also for her vinyl pieces.
Super fun. Okay, so now we're going to cut. We have the gray, we have the red. Both sides, the shiny side is down. And so that we can hit OK on this. OK. And then I'm going to select to cut. Now I have to think what I was cutting last time. Okay, the half cut is already on, but I was doing something and I took off, let's see, maybe the auto pressure. I just want to make sure it's all set to auto cut and not something else, because sometimes I have it changed for different things. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just do a test actually. And they sometimes put the test like right in the middle of the design. I'm like, that how is that helpful? Okay, so we'll do the quick little test in the corner and make sure that the cuts are all gonna be how we want. And then we'll go ahead and cut the whole design. All right, so let's see. Here's where the test was. If it comes up easily, then you know that that's good. You can see the little triangle. The test cut is always a little triangle. And you just don't want to be fighting with the vinyl later. So we want it to be a nice, smooth cut. And generally, 99% of the time, the auto cut works great and makes a great cut. What I have noticed is if I'm cutting a lot of things, sometimes that auto blade depth isn't as accurate the longer I use it in a single session. My mom and I were cutting shirts for the cousins for our upcoming like family reunion time. And so we were cutting 14 of the same graphic for shirts. And about 8 or 9 in, I did have to play with the settings to get it to cut a little bit deeper because I think the blade was getting a little bit tired, but it was totally fine. So just make sure you do test every time, because sometimes if you're cutting a lot of mats in a row, I do find that it like loses a little bit of its depth on the cutting. So, all right. So now it's gonna, and of course, probably depends on the machine, too. There's a lot of different levels of the scan and cut machine. All right. That was quick. All right.
Very,
very quick. I know. I was expecting a few more minutes. What was I going to talk about here? I'm going to switch back to the other camera here so that we can check that out.
I wanted to say that So Francie commented, Emily has a lot of great patterns on her website too. So that's lifesewsavory.com where you follow Emily. All right. Looks like she's all set up at the sergers. Maybe not.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. No, I'm back. I just it's my.
Oh, got it.
Camera that takes a second. Okay. Sure. This camera is a little bit delayed. All right. I just want to show, I think it's easier to do from here, the weeding aspect, and to show you the rest. I am looking on here to see if I think this cut deep enough. I think so, although it's maybe questionable. I might have to recut it, but that's fine. We'll do it. We get to show everything. All right, so it also depends on the vinyl. I find my older vinyl, again, hoarding vinyl, doesn't always cut as well as like new vinyl. So we found that because my mom and I were trying to use up all these scraps that I had, which a lot of them were old, and I could tell that they weren't all good. So let me just check this one. I'm trying to think I think I leave the stripes on. Sometimes I'm not sure what is the negative and what is the positive.
Oh, I can pull up my Art Spira app and check.
I can see, I think I leave all the stripes and I pull the outside. But however, just like I was mentioning, because I changed the settings, I'm going to have to recut this. So good thing it was quick. I'll do it here so you can kind of see the arching process as well, but it did not cut deep enough at this particular moment. So we're just going to do a quick recut. The good thing is it still saves everything on the screen. So I don't have to like re-pull up the app or do anything like that. I just have to place the vinyl back on here. I think, yeah, for the stripes, I'm going to weed all the vinyl around the whole thing, and then it leaves the stripes on there. So there's no like heart outline, I think is what I'm seeing on there. Okay, so the good thing about the scan and cut is, yes, it has all the auto functions, and it has where you can set sort of the manual cut pressure. So if you're finding that it really isn't syncing, is it my mat? Is it the vinyl? Is my blade old? I don't know. I'm not going to try to figure all that out right now. But we can go ahead and just make it cut a little bit deeper. We're just going to do that quick test again. And then I'll re-roll this vinyl while it's doing a quick little cut here, but hopefully it's all good. Second time's a charm.
Yeah. So Emily has the SDX 85. Is that the model?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you probably don't even sell this one because this might be the mass model.
We do have the pink version of that I linked in the description below.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've had over the years some of the dealer models and some of the mass models. And I mean, the good thing about Scan and Cut is they all cut, you know, they all scan, they all do really great. But there are, you know, some advantages, and you just get a little bit more bells and whistles, a little bit more precision with some of the dealer models. So,
yeah. So the one that we have, the 325, which is the top of the line,
yes,
has a much larger screen.
Yes.
So you can see, it's a bigger area to see and touch.
And that was the one I had before, the older model of it. And so when I got this one, you're like, wait a second, I need my glasses to pull out to see the screen. You don't realize how much you appreciate the bigger screen until you don't have it. I definitely attest to that. Okay, take two.
So before you, okay. Sometimes I go through twice before I take it off. If it doesn't go through all the way, I'll leave it.
That is true. Because I set the pressure to what I was cutting these other shirts with, I was fairly sure, but that is also a really good tip. Cut it twice. And the machine also often senses if it's a thicker or more difficult fabric, especially like if I'm asking it to cut fabric or felt, it will say like cutting a second time, and it just does it automatically. So
I
appreciate that too. But yes, before you take it off the mat, if you want to cut it again, which I maybe should have done the last time, but this is coming off perfectly. I just keep holding this up because it's actually really dark in this room.
Okay.
My storm outside.
Perfect time to be in your craft room.
It is, but I can't see. I'm blessed with this wall here is all windows, and so I'm super blessed with being able to usually see really well. But okay, so you can see there's the top of the heart and the little stars that were cut out of it, and then the gray fabric that we're using. Let's do the same thing with the red one. Okay, so on this now. Maybe I'll keep this scrap, maybe I won't, but because all of this extra is going to be pulled out, I'm going to cut off. This is still good. Okay, this is still good. So I'm going to cut that off. That's quite a bit. And then we're going to weed the opposite. So usually what I like to do is, if I can see, hold it up to the light and grab the edge of the design with my little weeding tool. And then from there, if it's not too intricate, I usually will just use my hands to pull. Make sure I'm not pulling up the design. If you are, like, lay it back down, go slower. And then from there, you can just pull it up and across. And if for some reason it's sticking, pulling it from one way, I've had really good luck, like turning it around and pulling it from the other way. And that will often, like, if a part is stuck, that will unstick the part. Okay, so there is the heart. It's so cute. All right,
wait.
so now let me turn this off, put my mat. I'm gonna grab the dust cover here before I toss it on the floor.
That is something that sometimes I forget to do, and I'm always
regret it.
regretful for not putting that.
My floors are not that clean, and if it landed face down, it would be covered in probably dust and, well, thread. This area is like the thread zone. That is what is always on the floor here. Serger clippings and all kinds of thread. Okay.
So it's a knit fabric, right?
So this is a knit fabric, and they do sell different kinds of vinyl for, just try to get this to focus a little bit better here. Oh, can you hear the thunder? It's literally like pounding.
Yes.
They do sell special kinds of vinyl for different kinds of fabric. Now, if it's not too stiff, most heat transfer vinyls will work on knit. But if you're really having trouble because it's extremely stretchy or what you're wearing is getting a lot of stretch, there is like stretch vinyl that you can check out to get a little bit more precision with that and durability. The only ones that I have that doesn't really stretch is I have like a holographic like iron-on, and it just was not stretchy at all. It was really stiff, so that was not good for knits. So I want to line this up in the center. I want to make sure I don't get too close to the bottom here because we need to put that into the seam when we sew on the skirt. And then I'm going to grab my iron over here. And so I'm going to start by just pressing on the stripes, and then I'll put on the stars. Now I am noticing that because I didn't reverse this design, it's going to be opposite of what it shows in my app with the stars on the opposite side. I'm not really particular about that, but if you're really particular about having your stars on the left side, it appears that this design needs to be mirrored.
Which you can do in the scan and cut.
Yeah. So you can do that right on the scan and cut. Yeah, in the edit functions, you can just go ahead and hit mirror. For designs that you're importing from your computer, not from Artspira, you can do that. I like to do it on Canvas Workspace. One, because my screen is tiny and it's hard for me to always see exactly. But for the Artspira projects, then I just do it right on the screen.
Yeah. So Canvas Workspace is it's a website. You Google
a free download. I think you download it maybe.
You can download it, but I think you can also use it as the
online.
URL. I guess it's in the cloud or something.
Sure.
Yeah. So you go on there and you register your scan and cut, and then you have capabilities to edit on screen, save, and you can even transfer wirelessly from your computer to your scan and cut. It's definitely an amazing program that if you have a scan and cut,
you need Canvas Workspace. What I love is any font that I have downloaded on to my laptop shows up in Canvas Workspace. So all the fonts that you have or that you've downloaded or that you've purchased, I buy fonts so I can use them commercially. But there also are tons of fonts that you can buy that are not for commercial use that you can just use if you're making like free projects or things for yourself. So many options, and they all show up. So you can cut graphics and you can adjust the size, so many things.
Someone is asking, which iron do you use?
I don't even know. a chi iron.
Okay.
Nothing fabulous. Nothing fancy. Something I just keep right here for quick little things like this.
I'll get you an
I just even have like my wool pressing mat. I just, as much as possible, try to just keep it simple. I've put the stars here, and then I've reapplied the clear pressing vinyl or that clear cover over the red stripes, because you want to make sure that as you add each layer of vinyl, whether it's 2 this project or 3 or 4 in a more complicated project, that you keep the vinyl that you've already done covered up so that you won't melt your iron. And not a funny story, but a funny story about that is, like I said, my mom and I were cutting all these things, and as we were trying to get some of them to cut, some of the letters were like popping out of the clear backing. So I put a sheet of transfer paper, which you would use for sticky vinyl, not heat transfer, which should have been my first clue. But then I went ahead and ironed right on that transfer tape, and it just was like melted right into my iron.
Oh, goodness.
So I scraped off what I could while it was hot, and then when it cooled, I got out my Goo Gone, and I was like, it wasn't this iron, thankfully. I was using like a big pressing. What a mess. My simple project. That's what happens. I think it's going to be a simple project, and then I do something, and it's like 6 times as long. I do want to mention, if you're not using a heat press for heat transfer vinyl and you're using an iron, you need to apply pressure. So, you know, it might not look like it, but I'm really pushing as hard as I can with this hand, this arm. And then the things to look for on most vinyl, you will start to see the texture of the fabric come through the vinyl, like little dimples or like a waffle shape. And you don't want it crazy. Like, you don't want to like melt that vinyl in and burn everything. But once you start to see that texture come through a little bit, you know that it's fully adhered and it's not going to come off in the wash. Because as I was getting into vinyl years ago, I did have projects that, you know, you wash it once and then you're like, oh, it's peeling off. And we've probably all bought shirts from the store that do the same thing. And you just think, wait, what happened here? I just got this. So make sure it's really, where's my, into the, there we go, into the grain of the fabric. And now I really hardly ever have issues with it coming out. And also, if it starts to peel when you are lifting the clear backing, you know, you can set it down and press it again. You can also check, some vinyl is cool peel, where you need to let it cool before you peel it. And some vinyls are hot peel, where you're supposed to peel the clear backing while it's hot. So another thing to check out from there.
What type of vinyl are you using, Emily?
I am using, you mean like a brand or just like?
The style, I think, is what they were. It's
just heat transfer vinyl. And I honestly don't even know where this came from, because nothing in there has wrappers on it anymore. So I buy them from the store. I buy them online. I get them from Brother. I really have used all sorts of types of vinyl. But this vinyl in particular is a soft iron-on vinyl. Look at it.
Oh, it turned out great.
So I think that's going to look really great with the skirt. And we're going to put it all together. My phone was just buzzing. I had to take a look, but it was just a severe thunderstorm warning in my area. Nothing to be concerned about. Okay, I am going to switch now over. We're going to sew this up and put this together and hopefully have a fun sundress. My daughter's actually due to come home here. My husband's picking her up at gymnastics camp. And I told her, when you come home, I might have something for you to try on for me. So if she gets here in time, we can see it on her. And hopefully she's good about modeling, and I pay her, so she loves it. But all right, let's head over to sewing and check it out.
Well, we're getting some comments here. Very cute. Yay. Beautiful. From Marilyn. And then Anne says, how adorable. So pretty, nice. They're all loving it. So here we go.
All right. So we're going to start on the serger, and I'm going to finish the tank top really quick. I was sewing this morning, and then I thought, well, not everyone is as comfortable sewing knits as I am. I know that. Oh, it's so cute. So I really wanted to make sure that I did just show a couple of tips as I was going. So I already put on the neckband and I sewed on one armband as well. So together we're going to sew on the second armband. And in order to do that, I'm going to line up the binding edge here on the shoulder seam. And then I'm going to sew across the shoulder seam with the serger. Now, almost all, I don't want to say all because of course someone will find an exception, but almost all of my patterns have an included 3/8 inch seam allowance, which for me is what I like to sew with for knit fabric. It also translates well for our friends in other parts of the world because it's 1 centimeter seam allowance. So I can just say 3/8 inch or 1 centimeter. So now we have that shoulder seam sewn. And what we're going to go ahead and do now is I'm going to put on the other arm binding. And you can, or band. There are bindings and there are bands. And a binding is where you sew the fabric on, then you fold it over and sew it again. And a band is like your t-shirt neckline where it's usually just sewn on. And a general rule of thumb is your band should be 10 to 15% less than the measurement of whatever you're sewing it on. Now because I've done this so much and many of you as well, I just like to sew it on and not pre-pin it because I just don't like the pins or the clips in my way. And I just give it a gentle stretch as I'm sewing it. If you don't stretch it enough, then your band can flip up. And we've all, if you've sewn with knits, have probably sewn that neckband that like stood up and flipped up and did not lay nicely. Well, that can be because it's too big for what you're sewing it on. And if I pull it too much and I stretch it too aggressively, well, then it's going to really bunch up the fabric and it's not going to lay nice either. So a gentle stretch, the more you do it, the more you're comfortable with. If it's your very first time, I would always encourage measure your arm or your neck opening, then measure your fabric to be 10 to 15% smaller than that, and then stretch and sew it till you kind of get the hang of it. Now, you definitely want to make sure you're not, for the bands, I'm not taking a big seam allowance. I'm not even taking the 3/8 inch because it's not that wide. Okay, I didn't cut this band super wide to be able to do that, and I don't want just like the teeniest bit of fabric showing up there. So I'm just sewing right on the edge for that. I always like to go through, run my hand over, make sure I caught all those layers of fabric in there before I top stitch or go to the next step, so that if I did make a mistake, I can go ahead and fix that. All
Emily,
right.
we have a few comments that came in.
Yes.
Ann Philbeck says, the awesome airflow on my want list. So
yes.
That is Brother's newest air threading serger. It came out last year, so it's the first year of it being out, and it is phenomenal. And the one on the right that Emily is using is the Brother's CV3550.
Yep.
And that is the double cover hem machine. And this machine was reserved for dealers only for the longest time. And just, I think, on the 15th of this month, it got released for internet sale. So
okay, well, that's great. I've had this machine for years, and this isn't like such a popular machine that they keep making upgrades to it. It's just, you can still buy the same machine. There aren't really updates. It is so great. And if you do sew with knit fabrics, this is a machine that you need because it is, I'll show you here in a minute, but just so amazing for top stitching, hemming, and anything else that you need to retain the stretch in what you're sewing. Because I could top stitch this neckline on my sewing machine and it would literally look the same, but as soon as I pull it over my head or my arms, those seams are just gonna pop. Unless you're using a knit stitch or a zigzag or a double needle, and then they just don't look quite as professional. So this is a fabulous machine. I'm using a 2-thread narrow needle top stitch here. I do not have the second looper threaded. So this is a double cover stitch. Brother also sells a single cover stitch. in which is kind of what the stitch that I'm doing right now. But the benefit, if you're gonna buy one of this machine, is that it also can do a top looper where it makes sort of that athletic, if you have any athletic clothing, look at it. On the bottom, there's a looper going back and forth, and on the top, there's a looper going back and forth. And it's just a really fun top stitch. But if I'm doing that, I have to be much more color coordinated. So I often will just keep the neutral colors on here for top stitching and hemming and quick projects. And then when I'm really wanting to do something, then I go ahead and thread it up. So let's see if this will focus on not me. I wanted it.
I love how stretchy.
Yeah, so you can see the stretch. I wish it wouldn't. I don't know why it's not. I'm going to take myself out of the camera. Anyway, it does a good job focusing the machine, but it's 2 needles on this side. Oh, there it goes. 2 needles on that side. Okay, really stretchy. And then on the back is the looper, and I just stitched right on top of where that serger seam was. And you can see it's really uber stretchy. And
That's
then it
really
looks
next level.
super cute. So we have the tank top, you have the neckline, you have the arms stitched. You could sew the side seams first and then top stitch in a circle, but I'm lazy, for lack of a better word. I really like to just sew it while it's still open like this, and much easier for top stitching. So now we'll sew the side seams. So I am definitely a corner cutter when it comes to sewing, and some more traditional sewists are probably hiding their head in the sand. I didn't sew my band on in a circle. I sewed it on a straight line, but I can't be bothered on some things. Now there are some things that, of course, I take the time and make sure that it's done exactly right, but there's not real, this is just a matter of preference, in my opinion. It's not a wrong or right. It's a matter of preference if you want to sew it while it's open or while it is in a circle. I think it's easier while it's open, so I do it that way. All right, now I didn't mention this when I did this on the neckline, so I just want to mention this, but when you sew with the serger on a seam that is not going to be finished any other way, so these bands are not going to get finished. There's no sewing, there's no seaming, there's no top stitching. You can't just cut this serger thread because it will just unravel. There's no back stitching on the serger. So I like to take a darning needle, slide it into the serger seam, and then just go ahead and pull about 1 inch of thread through that seam, and then cut it off. And then from there, we have a perfectly finished edge, and it won't fray or fall apart. Okay, Rose is here.
No, I'm not here.
I love it. Hi, Rose.
She just got dropped off. Hey, you can go play. I'll call you back in a little bit to try this on, okay? Okay?
What's the iPad?
On the counter. She's wearing another version of this same tank top in full, not shortened. This one I didn't mention this. So you can download this free tank pattern from lifesewsavory.com. If you don't see it on the front page, just search racerback tank and you'll find it. But the tank top was not just this short, right? This would be a crop top. So I did, when I was cutting it out, shorten it to add the skirt onto it because I wanted it sort of a higher waisted summer dress. So that is one edit I did make to the pattern, and I just wanted to note that. Okay, so now we have the top is finished. So we have 2 more steps. We have to gather the skirt, and then we have to sew it together, and then it will be finished. But
This is so
the tank
cute.
top is super cute.
Yes.
Coming together. Love it. And then, okay, so now what I'm going to show you real quick is how to gather on your cover stitch. And I really love, or on your serger. I love doing this. It's really easy. It's how I did this bottom ruffle of the skirt this morning. I gathered it right on here, and then I sewed it together. So a couple of things that you want to change. I So most everything on the number 5 for the stitch width. I don't really prefer a big fat stitch on the serger, but you can make your stitch wider, but I'm gonna leave mine on the narrow 5. And then on the differential feed, you're gonna turn it all the way up, which on this machine is 2. And on the stitch length, you're gonna turn it all the way up, which on this machine is 4, okay? And then for the thread, I'm gonna tighten it just a little bit. Usually I tighten it between 5 and 6, depending on how gathered you want your fabric to be. So if you want it really gathered, you're gonna make the needles even tighter. You could go up to a 6 or a 7. I wouldn't go all the way up because then your thread will just break more easily. But you can definitely tighten it up a couple of numbers. And if you want it less gathered, then I would just leave it at whatever you were sewing your regular project on, which for me was the standard setting of 4. So we're gonna go to about 5.5. We'll see how it plays out, and then we may or may not loosen it or tighten it just a hair more to see how it's gathering. Okay, so just start anywhere on your project, and you'll be able to see immediately. I can't probably show you yet. I'll slide this around in a minute. That the fabric coming out of the back of your presser foot is gathered. So it's just a one and done gathering. There also is a gathering foot for the serger in which you can put a piece of long fabric and a piece of short fabric together, and it will gather or ruffle one side and sew it directly to the shorter piece. And I love that for wovens, but I will admit, because knits are slippery, I have trouble getting it to stay in the grooves of the pieces you need it to. Now, Angela Wolf, who's the master seamstress, she says it's fine for knits. So don't take my word for it. Apparently you can make it work for knits, but my honest review is that for me, I have a hard time using it for knits. But I totally gather like this all the time. It still makes a beautiful gather. And I'll show you here when I finish how I adjust it. Because you can see I'm not really knowing, is this gonna fit perfectly on the bottom of the tank top? It generally does gather about 2 to 1. So it's making it about half as long as it was before. But I do have a couple of other tricks for if it's too big still, you can tighten it up. And if it's too small, you can actually make it bigger again. So here's what I do. When I get back around to the beginning, where I started, I chain off a long tail, like 6 or 8 inches, okay? And what this does is it gives me a little bit of wiggle room. If it's not big enough, I can pull some gathers off of this chain thread and still keep the gathers, not mess up my project, but be able to readjust the size. But look at how perfect the gathers are. Can I just say they're perfect gathers? It is really so easy to do that on there. And if it's too small, if it's not small enough, like I want it more gathered, you just simply find one of the needle threads in here, or both of them, pick it up and then pull your gathers like you do with any other gather top. So that's easier than if it's not big enough. But this looks to be, oh my goodness, pretty perfect. So I think I got lucky, which is good, because maybe some other parts of this project I haven't gotten so lucky. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, you're going to pin or clip it with the right sides together, and then we'll sew it around one more time with the serger. I am going to, where'd that go? I am going to, in this waist seam, because it has so much fabric, a heavy skirt, heavy's relative, but a lot of fabric in the skirt on a thin fabric tank top for a little bit more stability. And I'll show you how I do this. I'm going to include some clear elastic, probably hard to see, in that seam. So I'll show you in just a minute a really easy way to do that on the serger. But until then, we're going to flip this. I did piece a couple of strips of fabric together to make the skirt. So I just want to maybe double check that I don't have one of those seams right in the front that of the pant pieces that I pieced. Like I said, this is 4th of July fabric that I bought actually 2 years ago. I think 2 years ago I sewed for all of my nieces, and there are 9 of them, summer dresses from fabric that was coordinating in a collection that all coordinated with this fabric. And it was really cute and adorable. But then I said, this is probably the last summer that I'm sewing you all matching clothes, because one, they're getting big, and big kids' clothes take a lot more fabric. And 2, they don't really want to, like, one of them's 17. She doesn't really want to wear cutesy matching with her cousins anymore. So now we do like cheap t-shirts and we put a vinyl on it. And if they never wear it again after family reunion time, then it doesn't matter. And it's still fun to be able to make. I love making custom t-shirts. So I still get my like crafty side out. I can't even believe this. This is like the most perfectly I've had a serger gather end up maybe ever, and I never get blessed like this on live shows. I feel like it always is the worst case scenario when I'm live on how things work out. But this is perfect. Okay, so it's clipped in there. The right sides are together. We have the gathered fabric. I'm going to sew with the gathers up so that I can try and keep them lined up as we go. But one thing to note is always make sure you put your machine back, because I have many times sat down to not gather and gather because my machine was still set at the gathering settings. So turn off the gathering settings, reset it to what you had going before. And now let me show you my clear elastic trick. Many of you may know this. This is not like rocket science, but it is so handy. And if you don't know this, you're going to be really excited. Okay. So
Tricia says it lined up because you're on the AllBrands show.
Oh, that's right. I love it. Of course. That is definitely good. It's just, of course, like your thread breaks, and it's just everything not great happens when people are watching. But so this is clear elastic. I buy this online. It's not really thick. You can also buy clear elastic that's pretty thick, and that's actually used for like clear bra straps and things like that. And that is way too thick to be in seams of garments. But if you look in some like ready to wear shirts that you bought, I don't know, what am I saying? Shirts that you buy in the store, you'll see clear elastic sewn into shoulder seams, sewn into side seams, and it just does provide some really easy and light stability. You don't even know it's there. You'll see in a minute. You can't even see it in the seam. It's truly invisible. So this is pretty lightweight invisible elastic. It's 4th inch. You can also buy 8th inch, but I like using it. Actually, the package says lightweight clear elastic, 4th inch, and it comes 10 yards in this little bag. But you can probably, I don't know if you can buy it at craft stores. I haven't really looked. But on your serger, there's a hole in the presser foot. Okay, it's not made for this, but it works for this. And you're going to slide your clear elastic into the hole, and then you're going to slide your clear elastic to the back of the presser foot, so it's coming out the back. Okay, and then I'm going to make sure this is lined up straight, and I'm just going to sew, and it magically puts it in the seam. If you want it to tighten up your seam, then you actually tug a little bit on this and put a little pressure, and it sort of can gather up as you're sewing. I just want it to provide stability. I don't want it to actually gather or tighten anything. So I am not going to be pulling on it at all. I'm just simply going to make sure it's sewing straight, not getting twisted or anything like that. All right, so I'm going to lift the presser foot, place my fabric underneath. So it's one more thing to sort of watch out for, but it's not really troublesome. So just making sure, the one thing I'm looking at as it's going into the seam is that it's not twisting, because then it will maybe be a little bit bulkier in the seam. And then I'm making sure that my gathers are lined up, and I can just barely see the edge of my tank top under there.
I'm a big fan of Wonder Clips.
Yes, me too.
Very kid friendly and adult friendly.
4 years ago, and now I hardly ever pin.
I never use pins either. Only wonder clips
There
for
are
me.
a few things I use pins for. Sometimes if I'm stretching elastic, really pulling it hard, it will slide through the clip. Like they're not grippy enough. So every once in a while, I mean, I still own pins, but I feel like they're generally just a decoration in my sewing room at this point. Because there are some things you can't pin, like leather or vinyl, and you can use the Wonder Clips so easily with those materials. And they don't leave marks. Yeah, huge. Okay, so I'm just going around here a couple inches at a time, making sure everything's lined up. We did pre-clip this, so it's pretty easy to get it through, but I just want to make sure everything's lined up. You can see me checking the top, checking the bottom, making sure the layers are all lined up. My skirt is pretty gathered. It's probably at least was double the width of the tank top, maybe even 2.5 times. So the gathers are just a little bit thick in there. So I'm really trying to make sure it's all lined up. Sometimes, you know, your tank can bunch under there and then you can catch that and sew that. That's definitely not something you want to happen. So I am checking the underside occasionally. All right, so I'm back around to the beginning. And when you get almost to where you started, this is where you want to cut off the clear elastic. And then I'm also going to cut where I started. Now I'm going to sew over where I started because you want those clear elastics to overlap and be stitched together so that there's not like a weird gap because that plays with the stability aspect. So I'm going to go over where I started, maybe an inch all the way past. Make sure that clear elastic is fully enclosed in the seam, and we are done. So let's see if this will focus on here. But look at, there is elastic in that seam right there. You can see it because it's maybe a tiny bit shiny, but you really can't see it. And it just really does provide nice stability in there for the whole waist seam. So just hopefully that will help the skirt hang a little bit nicer and have everything go good. So it is finished and it turned out so cute. And I'm going to, oh, we got to serge your thread, clip your threads like the end of any good project. This one I'm actually not hemming because one, it's knit fabric, you don't have to. And two, like I said, I was using up scraps, so I'm trying to get every bit of length. I'm not even sure how long this is going to be on Rose, but I'm hoping long enough to wear as a dress and not like a shirt. So I'm not even going to hem it. I'm just going to leave the bottom loose, but I think it's going to be a really cute sundress from there. So if you want to take me out for a minute, I'm going to grab Rose.
Emily, how adorable. You guys, this is such an adorable, cute, easy project to do on your scan and cut
Rose,
serger.
Can you come try this on? Yes.
We have a few comments that I want to go through while they're getting our model ready. And thank you, Rose. Okay, so Anne said, my favorite is Emily's pajama pant tutorial. So just to remind everyone to follow Emily, it's lifesewsavory.com. You can be on her newsletter and learn more. Okay. Let's see, Shirley, did you cut your hair barb? Yes, I got bangs or fringe. Yeah, so just did something different. Thanks for noticing. Oh, we have a first-time watcher today, Mom to Create. Hello, first time, welcome. We're on every Thursday at 3:30 p.m. All right, just give me a thumbs up whenever you're ready.
Oh, we're good. We're good.
You ready?
Yes.
Okay. Here she is. Wow.
Okay, so this is my daughter Rose. She's 9.5, and she just got back from gymnastics camp. So, but she is going. This is who I made it for, and she's gonna model. Can you step back a little bit? See, it's actually right at her knees. So that's perfect for summer wearing. Give us a little twirl. Woo!
Beautiful.
It turned out so cute. It's really ruffly, and I think the graphic on the front really makes it. Of course, small regret that I didn't have blue vinyl that matched, but I would have wanted it to be pretty much the exact same color in order for it to be cute. But turn around here for a second. So you can see this, you can use any tank pattern and just add a skirt, right? That's gather it up, sew it on, doesn't have to be fancy. But this is the racerback style tank, and there is a printable PDF for this one. I also do have a more basic tank where the straps are just straight on my site for kids, but that one doesn't, I think it might only go up to size 6 or 8. So she's outgrown that one. So now I'm making my patterns bigger as I have bigger kids. So
well, Rose,
gotta keep adapting.
You are quite popular. So Francis says beautiful. Kathy says so cute. Someone else says very pretty. Eartha, she is precious. Mary.
Yeah, so if you follow me on Life Sew Savory or you've checked it out, you know that I have a million pictures of Rose on there. She's my very gracious model, and she does great showing off lots of different things for me.
Everyone is loving it. You have an amazing mom who makes you the cutest outfits.
Yeah, sometimes they'll need something for school and they're like, my mom can just make that. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah.
They're all coming in with such great comments.
Yeah, hey, stand over here so you can still see it. So anyway, that's today's project. I'm excited the way it turned out. Super roughly skirt combination of using.
It looks like for
New Year's. You mean the 4th of July?
I mean,
yeah, it is for 4th of July. You can maybe wear it to watch some fireworks.
I'm wearing it today. I don't want to change back.
Okay. So, so there it is. A fun project.
Adios, amigo.
Thank you, Rose.
An easy thing that just, even if you buy a tank top at the store, if you're not quite ready to sew your own, gather up some fabric, add a skirt, put some vinyl on there so that it looks custom and no one will know you didn't make the whole thing. So lots of ways to get creative and crafty and make things, I think, look more custom than they actually are when you sort of tie things together with a vinyl design or some embroidery or something like that. So good ideas.
Oh my goodness. So we're going to make an announcement about something that I'm very excited about for the fall. Emily will be joining us at the Houston International Quilt Festival in Houston, Texas. It's November 2nd through the 5th. Let me see if I can share my screen. We're going to do a giveaway in just a moment, but
stay around.
You can go ahead and purchase your advance tickets now. I think they just opened it this week. Let's see, where is it? Houston. I think you can start reserving classes, enrolling in classes. So go to quilts.com, click the Houston show, and go ahead and enroll now so you can start planning your trip, and you can even meet Emily there.
Super fun, yes.
AllBrands will be there representing Brother at the show, so we'll have all of the newest Brother models as well as all of the models that you saw today. And,
so fun.
Yes, I'm so excited. Okay, so would you like to do a giveaway?
Sure.
All right, so here it is. We're going to click draw, and our winner today, our lucky winner is Brenda. Brenda, congratulations. Please email me at events@allbrands.com with your name, number, and address to claim your $25 AllBrands.com e-gift card. Congrats. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Emily, for being on the show and for doing what you do.
Oh, thank you for having me. I had so much fun. Glad it all turned out. There's always some rough patches, but just an example of keep trying. And things turn out. And Rose still is of an age where she likes most of what I sew. every once in a while we'll take pictures in something and she's like, Mom, I don't really like this. I'm like, that's okay. I still need the pictures. But she's generally really still loves to wear a lot of different things that I make. And so I'm very thankful, and hopefully she has a good, fun summer dress to wear.
Yes, yes. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. It looks like the sun is back out again.
Well, it's pouring, but it's a little bit, the dark clouds have lifted. Okay. It is a little bit brighter, but it's definitely pouring out. So we'll be inside sewing, doing fun things.
Yes. Well, thank you again, Emily, and thank you everyone for watching.
We'll
be live from Dallas, Texas next week. We'll be at Bernina University showing all of the new Bernina products. And gearing up for the fall, we have the Houston International Quilt Festival, and coming soon, we have a Baton Rouge in-store Bernina Bayou University is what it's called. Okay. So stay tuned for that. It's not out yet, but we'll come out with more information soon, and we'll see you next week. All right. Thank you, Emily.
Bye.
Bye.